Life is not divided into semesters. You also don't have summers to rest, and very few bosses care enough to help you find those opportunities. Do what you want in your free time, Bill Gates. A bucket of cold water, but necessary to wake people up and pull them away from the familiar illusions of school days. When we were students, we were used to clear milestones, semesters starting and ending, pushing through a period, then getting a break, mistakes still offering chances to redo. But stepping into life, the rhythm is no longer neatly divided into easy segments like that. Time flows continuously, without warning, without waiting for anyone. And it doesn't automatically grant breaks just when you're tired. Adult life demands initiative. No summer appears to remind you it's time for self-development. And no one has the patience to guide you every step of the way. Most people are busy with their own lives, and opportunities, if they come, often pass by in silence. That's why free time, even if brief, becomes incredibly valuable. It's like a vacant plot in a crowded city. If you don't plant seeds yourself, weeds will grow on their own. The choice lies with each person. Use that time to procrastinate or turn it into a stepping stone for the future. Not to create pressure, but to ignite a spirit of freedom and responsibility for one's own life. When you realize no one lives your life for you, you learn to cherish every idle hour, daring to try, learn, and do what you truly want. That initiative brings positive energy, a sense of control over life, and deep satisfaction. Because in the end, life isn't graded by semesters, but measured by how meaningfully you've used your time. Don't expect easy success in your work, because if success comes easily, one often becomes arrogant. Confucius. The path to success is rarely smooth, for it's the challenges, hardships, and failures that forge a person into a sturdy form. If everything comes too easily, people easily confuse fleeting luck with true ability, leading to complacency, thinking they're superior, forgetting they still have much to learn. Easy success is like a favorable wind pushing a boat swiftly, but it also makes the sailor lax on the oars, forgetting to watch the currents and the sky. Without experiencing hardship, it's hard for a person to gain humility and inner depth. Conversely, achievements earned after many stumbles carry lasting value. Every drop of sweat, every failure, teaches us to bow our heads, to listen, and to appreciate others' efforts. That arduous process helps people understand they're not the center of the universe, and success isn't an endpoint, but just a stage. Adjust expectations and attitudes toward life. When not expecting things to be easy, you approach work with more patience, persistence, and alertness. Success, then, is no longer something to boast about, but a deserved reward for silent effort. And the humility nurtured through difficulties is the foundation that helps people go far, endure long, and maintain their value amid life's constant changes. Never underestimate anyone's pain, because in reality, everyone has their own suffering. It's just that some people are better at hiding it than others. Will Smith, opening up a complex inner world of humanity where every heart carries invisible scars. Pain isn't always evident through tears or complaints. Some pains are silent, like a night rain, falling steadily without noise, only noticeable in the morning when the ground is soaked. People are the same. Some choose to express for comfort. Others choose silence, smiling and moving on as if nothing happened. We often judge others by appearances. A bright smile, a confident demeanor, a seemingly fulfilled life. But behind that might be long, sleepless nights, unhealed memories, or pressures with no one to share. Like a deep blue ocean, the calm surface doesn't reveal the turbulent currents below. Understanding this, we learn to slow down in judgment, be gentler in words, and more compassionate in actions. Empathy not only sows positive energy in people's hearts. Live kindly, for we never know the silent battles others face. When we cherish and understand each other's pain, people become closer, warmer, and sometimes just a sympathetic glance or a gentle word can be a lifeline for a soul teetering amid life's storms. Remembering that you are going to die is the best way I know to avoid the trap of thinking you have something to lose. You are already naked. There is no reason not to follow your heart. Steve Jobs. Amid life's rush, it forces people to pause and ask, what are we truly living for? Death, seemingly frightening, a silent teacher. When clearly aware of life's finitude, we suddenly realize that fears, hesitations, and calculations of gain and loss that consume our minds become strangely insignificant. People are often bound by the sense of having something to lose. Fame, money, security, others' opinions. These invisible chains make us hesitate before dreams, closing our hearts to our true desires. But when placing death at the road's end, we understand that everything we cling to will eventually slip away. That realization isn't pessimistic. On the contrary, it liberates us, like a traveler knowing they have only one day to cross the forest. We won't waste time fearing the dark, but focus on listening to birds, admiring sunlight through leaves, and following the heart's direction. Live authentically and courageously. When no longer obsessed with loss, people become lighter, daring to choose their own path, even if it's not smooth. Living with awareness of death isn't for sorrow, but to cherish every moment of living, loving, erring, and pursuing what you believe is right. In that, life, though brief, becomes fuller and more meaningful than ever. At the feast, don't act like a hero, because wine has felled many. Confucius. Sobriety and humility in seemingly harmless revelries. The table, where laughter echoes, glasses clink endlessly, often makes people forget their limits. In intoxication and excitement, ego swells, making many want to prove their mettle, competing in drinks downed, in never getting drunk. But that's when people are most likely to lose themselves. Wine isn't evil, but showing off with it is dangerous. It's like a small flame. Used right, it warms. Uncontrolled, it burns everything. Many have fallen not from poor tolerance, but from oversized pride. A taunt, a challenging glance is enough to make one forget health, safety, even character. From seemingly fun feasts, uncontrolled words, regrettable actions, and lasting consequences have arisen, not to reject joy, but to guide toward moderation and self-respect. True strength isn't in how much you drink, but knowing when to stop. True mettle isn't in outdrinking others, but staying sober amid provocations. Understanding that we cherish health, respect ourselves and others, so every gathering ends in complete smiles, not regrets. After all, one who drinks just enough is always more admirable than a hero existing only in intoxication. You must have intelligence, even if small, but it must be your own. Maxim Gorki. The core value of a person in life's journey. Intelligence here isn't necessarily profound knowledge, doesn't require surpassing others or shining in crowds. It could just be how you understand an issue, choose at a crossroads, or face right and wrong in daily life. The most important isn't the size of the intelligence, but whether it truly stems from your own thoughts, experiences, and perceptions. In a noisy world, where opinions, trends, and others' views flood in, people easily live on borrowed intelligence. We repeat what we hear, believe what the majority believes, act on ready-made templates, sometimes without asking if we truly understand. Borrowed intelligence is like someone else's flashlight. It may light temporarily, but never belongs to you. Only when you think for yourself, collide, err, and draw lessons does that intelligence take root. Small, but solid, simple, but genuine. No need to become someone great. Just become yourself with independent intelligence. With your own intelligence, people live more confidently, calmer amid praise and criticism, less swept by illusions. That intelligence helps you know your limits, listen without blindness, learn without losing your own views. And from those small grains of intelligence, people gradually build a sturdy inner self, enough to walk amid life's changes while keeping clarity and unique character. The first thing I want to know isn't how you failed, but how you accepted it. A. Lincoln, in life, failure is almost inevitable. It comes to each in different forms, sometimes quietly, sometimes fiercely. But a person's essence isn't measured by how many times they fall, but by the attitude they choose to face those falls. Failure itself doesn't define anyone. It's how we receive and process it that reveals inner depth and resilience. Some, when failing, deny it, blame circumstances or others to protect their fragile ego. Others drown in self-blame, letting pain linger and erode self-confidence. But some choose to quietly face failure, like gazing into an imperfect mirror, to see weaknesses, limits, and necessary lessons. That acceptance isn't surrender, but the first step to maturity. Like trees after a storm, battered and broken. But if roots hold deep, they'll revive stronger. Learn to reconcile with failure, accepting it calmly. People are no longer haunted by shame or inferiority, turning failure into material for wisdom. That attitude helps us see that stumbling doesn't diminish us. Only fleeing or denying it weakens us. Know to accept failure is to respect your own journey, then step forward with a steadier, humbler, deeper mindset. Praising success is good, but paying attention to failure is more important. Bill Gates. Success is often exalted, celebrated with applause and admiration. It shines, easy to see, easy to captivate, but because it's so dazzling. Success sometimes obscures what's quieter, yet deeper failure, holding unglamorous but essential lessons for growth. Failure is like the dark ground at a mountain's base. No one lingers, but without crossing it, we can't grasp the peak's value. When people only praise success, they easily illusion that it comes from talent or luck, forgetting mistakes, wrong decisions, limits that once pained us. Attending to failure isn't for torment, but to hear what it says. Each failure is a warning, helping adjust direction, cultivate humility, and build a firmer foundation for future steps. Learn to value both sides of the journey. Success gives confidence, but failure gives wisdom. When facing failure calmly and openly, people no longer fear error, nor get carried by fleeting glory. That understanding helps us walk steadily, slowly but surely, knowing true life value isn't just in accolades, but in how we quietly grow after each fall. Success is not final. Failure is not fatal. It is the courage to continue that counts. Winston S. Churchill. Life's journey, where every destination is temporary, and the most precious is the ability to keep going. People often assign success too great a position, seeing it as the ultimate goal, fearing failure like an end. But truly, success is just a moment in vast time, and failure, though painful, can't strip a person's existence value. Success, if worshipped too much, easily lulls people in glory, thinking they've reached the final peak. Meanwhile, failure is like a heavy rain, making the road muddy, forcing us to slow and see each step clearly. But neither defines who we are. What decides is the pause after. Choose to stop or gather courage to proceed. Courage isn't absence of fear, but advancing despite knowing uncertainties ahead. It's a small but enduring flame, helping people rise after falls, adjust after mistakes, not losing self-faith. Life isn't a test with fixed results, but a continuous journey of learning and growth. Understanding success isn't the end, and failure isn't final. People lighten before gains and losses. We learn to embrace experiences as life's necessities, not arrogant in achievement, nor despairing in stumble. And that courage to continue quiet, persistent, is true strength, helping people go farther, deeper, living fuller amid ceaseless changes. The secret to success is doing ordinary things extraordinarily well. John D. Rockefeller Jr. A quiet stream flowing through years, not noisy, but persistently nurturing great achievements. People are often drawn to grand ideas, dramatic turns, or glamorous shortcuts. We easily believe success must tie to something extraordinary, different, superior to the masses. But reality shows most success builds from utterly familiar things: working on time, keeping promises, daily practice, ceaseless learning, and persisting in seemingly small matters. Ordinary things are like plain bricks, done carelessly. They're mundane materials, but placed right, with care and discipline, they can create a sturdy structure. Successful people aren't necessarily those doing differently, but those doing what anyone can with higher standards, more serious attitude, and rare persistence. They don't wait for inspiration to act, don't need praise to try, but quietly perfect each small detail, repeating steps through days and months. Success isn't too distant, nor beyond ordinary people's reach. When we respect the simple, pour heart into daily work, we inch closer to our goals. Doing ordinary things extraordinarily not only yields good results, but forges character, discipline, and inner confidence. And from that solid foundation, success comes naturally, unshowy but enduring, like ripe fruit nurtured long on a patient tree amid life's sun and rain. The real test is not whether you avoid this failure, but whether you let it harden you or shame you into inaction, whether you learn from it, and whether you choose to persevere. Barack Obama, each person's mettle when facing adversity. For in life, no one walks forever without stumbling. Failure isn't a rare incident, but a natural part of the growth journey. What's important isn't skillfully avoiding it, but how you react when it happens. Failure is like a forced detour where people must pause and face themselves. Some, after a fall, close off trust, become bitter and skeptical, letting disappointment erode day by day. But others choose differently. They let pain temper them like steel and fire, not rigid, but stronger, not callous, but deeper. They see failure as a strict teacher, not caressing, not comforting, but always pointing out what to fix, what to learn. Each lesson drawn is a quiet step forward, helping people understand their limits and expand abilities. Failure itself decides nothing. People's choices make the outcome. Perseverance isn't stubbornly repeating mistakes, but daring to continue after learning what's needed. When people are still ready to act, dare try again though fearful. That's passing life's real test. And in those choices to rise, people grow persistently, quietly, but firmly, realizing greatest value isn't never failing, but never quitting. Before anything, preparation is the key to success. Alexander Graham Bell. People often see only the shining moment of success, a timely decision, a seized opportunity, an exceeding result. But behind those moments is a long, quiet, sometimes lonely preparation process. Success rarely comes from chance. It often smiles on those ready. Preparation isn't just accumulating knowledge or skills, but forging mindset. It's patient days, learning when unrecognized, silent trials and errors, rearranging thoughts, goals, and limits. Like a farmer can't expect bountiful harvest without tilling soil, choosing good seeds, waiting right time to sow. When opportunity appears, the prepared see it as inevitable, The unprepared only regret lack of luck. Invest in what's not immediately visible. Preparation helps confidence amid changes, calm under pressure, flexibility when plans shift. It fosters humility, understanding each advance has a backing foundation, not just talent or timing. Valuing preparation, people no longer rush for success, but focus on doing small things well now. And from that readiness, success comes naturally, solid and deserved, like a door opening only for one with key in hand.